dedicated outdoor meditation pillows. Alright, I'll turn this off. Oh, maybe I'll bring that a little closer in, just so I don't feel like I'm yelling completely. Besides, we're just sitting, so it's fine. Yep, grab a wall if you want a wall, or any other way that you decide to support yourself, sitting on the pillows or on a bolster, or on a block. Even though the block is a little hard sometimes, I think. Okay. How are the mosquitoes? So far it's been good, but I am gonna put this over here just in case. But maybe it is too hot for them. Hi, Patootie. Are you gonna meditate, Patootie? Yeah. Alright, so ideally with the pets, you guys, it is generally recommended that you meditate in a space where there are no children and no pets. But I kind of like leaving my cat roaming around. She generally, if I'm alone, she just happens to like sit by my side, and I don't mind that. But you know, I think in the beginning it's easier if you are starting your if you're starting your meditation practice, it may be easier to just kind of have a dedicated quiet space, because the distractions are bad enough without your pets walking over you and your children climbing over you if you have children. So that's just, you know, just a suggestion. Again, whatever works for anybody. You cannot do this wrong. It is all about the simply willingness to sit with yourself and watch what is happening. And for today, it is truly going to be very simple. Well, we'll see. Sometimes I get a little carried away, even if I think it will be simple. But the plan is simplicity. So we'll see where that takes us. Again, you cannot do that wrong. You cannot do it wrong. Be mindful of the sitting position. It is not a given that you sit down and you're able to sit. It will require practice in sitting, believe it or not. You do have to get your body used to a seated posture, which I think it is often forgotten, right? I think we happen to think that you sit down and then you're good to go and you'll be sitting for an hour. It doesn't work that way. Also, approaching a meditation practice with a smaller chunk of time, especially in the beginning, is also a good way to go about it. 10 minutes tops is generally my suggestion to my clients who are starting with meditation practice. 10 minutes alone by yourself in silence, if you have never done it before, is a really long time. So we do 30 minutes, but it's already 05 and will end at 25, so it really is only 20 minutes. So with that said, let's just jump right into it. So hopefully you have found your seated space. I like to really keep the lift through the chest, even though the belly is soft, or it becomes soft at some point. So I do happen to engage it the very first moment I sit, and then once I kind of settle into my seat, again, so maybe a little wiggle through the sits bones, you kind of settle down into the ground. The chest is lifted. Try to align the shoulders over the hips. So if you're leaning too far forward, that may be a little bit of a problem. So try to find just the right sweet spot of the upper body over the hips. And then the moment you find that, again, you kind of soften the belly. So you are sitting nice and upright, but you're soft. You are not resisting the pull of gravity. You are giving your body gently into gravity while maintaining upright seated position, if that makes any sense. Chin tucked in slightly. Again, reaching a little bit through the crown of the head, but the activeness of the reaching that you generally do through yoga stops, and you just kind of find a little sweet spot, and you become just soft in a soft seated space. And just like in Shavasana, you kind of establish your bubble, your space, your meditating space. And you kind of drop in, and sometimes that drop in happens a lot faster than other times, depending on where you find yourself emotionally. Same with yoga practice. Sometimes you get on your mat, you get into down dog, and you're in it, right? Or sometimes you get into child's pose. The moment your hands and forehead touches the mat, you are in it. And sometimes it takes half of the practice to get yourself into your space. Same with meditation, same with Shavasana. So just knowing that that happens and allowing it to be whatever it is on any given day. And you know, honestly, some days it is just simply not happening at all. And that's okay too. Simply scanning the body. Again, looking for any tension, any tightness, any stiffness. And if you do find something, simply trying to release it with an exhale. As you exhale, you soften. Sometimes we try to send breath directly into a certain body parts. But in meditation, I like to take the breath as a whole, if you will. And then use it almost as a blanket, overall blanket that covers your whole body, not just the particular body part that needs a release. And again, you're simply witnessing anything that may be going on through your body physically. Soften the inside of your mouth. Notice if there's any tension through the jaw. Shoulders becoming heavier with each exhale. Soft through the belly. Inner thighs, notice any tension anywhere around the hips. And the knees, of course. And remember that your body does need to get used to a seated position of your choice. Whether it's simple cross-legged or a half lotus or full lotus, or even if you're sitting on the chair, you can always be sitting on the chair. Cross-legged is not an option for you. Definitely do not recommend meditating in bed unless your objective is to fall asleep. And the simplicity of the breath is what I would like you to focus on today. you happen to be outside, perhaps the rustle of the leaves, the wind passing by, the feeling of the wind on your skin, where it's exposed. Maybe there's even a little bit of sound that you can pick up that the wind creates. So if you drift away into those places, that's great. Coming back towards the breath continuously. And I'd like you to think about, if you do choose to so, if you ever during the day take a conscious breath, if you ever, obviously in yoga, perhaps in meditation, but outside of that, if you're walking and then you just pause and you take a conscious, present breath. You inhale, you feel the air coming into your lungs, you pause, and then you exhale, and then you move on. Do you ever do that? Or perhaps you look up in the sky and you take an inhale, you look at the clouds, you pause, and you exhale. Or is your breathing completely reflexive? Obviously you have to breathe all day long, all night long. You cannot go without breathing. Do you ever notice? And if you don't, can you try to challenge yourself to notice one simple breath here and there? Maybe when you're getting into your car, or when you're getting out of your car, or when you're opening your house, when you're walking into your house, whatever moment you choose. Or maybe you choose a moment, then you forget, and then you remember. So when you do forget and then you do remember, can you do it then? Can you do it right then? It only takes you like 4 seconds. Simple, long inhale through your nose. Watching the air passing into the lungs. Watching the lungs inflate, the chest lift. And then exhale it all out of your body. Softening. 6 seconds tops. Now maybe the question is, why would you do that? Why would you do that? Well, everybody could have different reasons, but for me personally, it's just an opportunity to pause, slow down, to kind of collect myself, check in with myself, little recalibrating, if you will, is what I like to call it. Bringing myself truly into the present moment, because when you do take a conscious breath, for that conscious inhale and conscious exhale, you are fully present. You are nowhere else. You are right there, wherever it is that you are, paying attention to your breath, to your body in that moment. There are no other thoughts. There are no problems in that particular moment. There's nothing else. Present moment alone. start injecting these little moments into your day, over time you find out that things are just a little more vibrant. The green is a little greener, and the blue is a little bluer, and the clouds are a little fluffier. The colors are just a little brighter, and your life perhaps is just a smidgen slower. Just a tad less stressful in the moment, in that moment. Maybe not in any other moment, and that's fine. But over time, it kind of trickles out of those moments, and then it spills a little bit all over your life. And it could be hard at first because a lot of the times we're so attached to our own suffering, to our own struggles, to our own, busyness. To our own negativity. It's like it defines us, it creates us, it creates this perpetual cycle of the way we live life these days. So what you start doing with that one single breath is breaking that cycle. You start poking tiny little holes into that cycle of craziness. And even though in the beginning they may seem completely inconsequential, it adds up. Every single breath adds up. Every single one of them. Simplicity of your breath. Simple inhale, oxygen comes into the body, floods the body. You pause at the top, and then you exhale everything out. And then you begin again. Simple inhale, simple exhale. Perhaps you notice how many breaths you can take in a row while you're thinking about them. Or perhaps you don't, because at some point your mind goes to what's for dinner, or where do you need to be after this, or what's happening tomorrow, or where are you going to watch the fireworks on Saturday, who is picking up the kids. Soccer is canceled, thanks goodness. We don't have to be anywhere on time. Notice where the mind goes. And whenever you catch it, whenever you catch yourself, rather, in the thinking process, simply, you can even laugh at yourself. You're like, here it is. I'm thinking about who knows what. Gently redirecting the attention attention back to the breath. Simple inhale, simple exhale. Notice any discomfort through the body. You've been sitting for 15 plus minutes now, so maybe the legs are falling asleep. Maybe the low back is feeling a little tender. Maybe the neck. It's okay for that to happen. Just notice. If you need to adjust with purpose, not just mindful scratching and fidgeting. Maybe you can just kind of sit with the discomfort for a moment. Simple inhale, pause at the top. Simple exhale, pause at the bottom. Cycle starts again. Short, simple cycle of a conscious breath. The number one tool you have. It's always with you. Always. Congratulations, you made it into July. It's July 1st. Gently notice where you find yourself, where your mind is. Mental note, emotional check. Engaging with the breath a little bit more, just more of an active inhale. Active exhale. Maybe another one, just whatever you need here. Ready, flutter the eyes open, maybe stretch the fingers or maybe drop the head, I don't know, whatever. Back. Ta-da! You guys awake? You were so quiet, as you should be. But energetically, I feel. You're just like, hi.
Right. I think I sank into a yin-like posture.
You definitely slouched. I noticed that.
When I started so straight, but also the work week is lighter because of the holiday.
Oh, really?
So it was easier. The last time I did it, it was a struggle to get into observer mode.
Airport mode?
Airport mode.
Alex here likes to go into airport mode.
Or going to the beach by yourself and floating in the water mode, or tide pool mode.
Yeah.
And it was easier to go there, like thinking of the places where you can clear your mind a little bit easier than you might normally.
What do you mean when you say clear your mind? What does that mean?
Not run through like you mentioned about a checklist or a to-do list. You know? And again, I think that's because the week is less hectic, at least for me. With my work, those people are already on vacation, so there's less meetings, less.
My week is the same. Exactly the same. Holiday or not.
But
Cool.
everyone,
That's fun.
everyone has their own little piece of sanctuary. They might not even realize it.
Oh, for sure.
And
For
it's
sure.
like thinking of that helps.
Yeah. What about you? Lighter week? Family visiting?
It was a busier week, but it was shorter. So like I kind of crammed
Mm-hmm.
a week and a half in 3 days.
Yeah. So that sounds more intense to me.
Yeah.
So it was, but it was so busy that it went by really fast.
Oh, yeah.
And like this is when I got here on my mat, everything's done. There's
Yeah.
like maybe 1 or 2 things I have to tie up once
Yeah.
I get home. So I wasn't caught in that. I was caught in the anticipation of the weekend.
Ah.
In the beginning
Yeah,
of my
yeah.
practice, I was like, oh, what are we gonna do?
Yeah,
Like the
yeah,
what
yeah.
ifs and
Yeah.
the planning mode.
Yeah.
And then I slowly started to let that go. As you were talking about the leaves and the wind, that caught me
Yeah.
and brought me back.
Nature is great for that. Yeah.
And I also noticed, I think this was towards the end, some visualization when you were saying, like gently poking the hole with each breath. So that created a little visualization
Mhm.
for me.
It's funny, I do that too. I literally imagine poking like a little needles into like a darkness and then light coming through.
That's kind of
Yeah.
that's what I was seeing, something similar too. And I haven't heard it presented that way, so that was really helpful for me. Just kind of like I was imagining like how many holes have I poked?
Right.
Like I don't even know. I poked so many, so like there's definitely light there.
Yeah.
It's just we don't always look at it from that perspective.
Right.
So the beginning started off a little distracted, but then I
Yeah.
made my
And it's interesting because people always ask me, especially people who are starting with meditation, they're like, why? And I'm like, duh. You know? But like you have to give them something concrete, right? It's like, well, I mean, there's it's like so overwhelming for me sometimes. It's such a simple and such a difficult question at the same time because I mean, like, I feel like the benefits are obvious, but I've been doing this for a while. So, like, you know, I cannot imagine not meditating. Like, that's how I keep my life together, right? But, like, if somebody has never done it and they're, like, on that habitual wheel of going through life, why, and they don't know any better. That's the thing. They don't know that there is another way.
right.
And that's, I feel that really difficult to explain to people. So I feel like poking a little hole here and there. It's just, I find it fascinating because just over, you know, the time that I've been working with people, and I'm sure you experience that in your work as well, I get such a variety. Like some people, it's such a struggle for some people to take one conscious breath. It's unbelievable how difficult that is for some people, and it kind of blows my mind. And I mean, I guess I was one of them too now when I think about it, but like now it's just like I do that all day long. I'm always like, oh, you know, just kind of like recalibrating constantly in a way. And I don't know, I feel like we should just teach that from these childhood, all the way, because I don't know. Anyway, well, thank you guys so much for participating. Anything else you'd like to add? How is the sitting? How is the sitting? Is it okay? You like the wall?
Yeah, I liked the wall last week, so I'm like, I'll
Yeah.
stick
No,
it.
the wall is good. When if I meditate inside, I'm usually propped up myself. I like it. But if I'm outside, my foot was actually falling asleep today, which is interesting. So every day is a different day, you know? And that's the thing, you guys, too. Like, you cannot expect you're gonna drop and everything is always gonna feel the same. It's just like everything else. Like, sometimes you struggle in your yoga practice or on your run, or your golf game is not the same every day, you know? It is the same with this. Sometimes it's easier, sometimes it's harder, sometimes it's impossible. Sometimes you just won't be able to get out of your head. Sometimes that's just how it is, and that's okay too. You'll try again the next day. the most important part about this is the consistency. You just keep coming back. You just keep coming back. You keep poking holes. You keep poking little holes, and at some point, it becomes a second nature, I think.
Sometimes when you do it too, you mentioned when you hit the yoga mat, like it was kind of things were cleared for you, kind of, and that's what happens when I do yoga, and why one of the reasons I really like yoga. But yin also, so I feel like that rolling into meditation, and then meditating in the morning is a lot easier.
Yes, for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I always say morning is number one because you're fresh. It's like brushing your teeth in the morning, same thing. Little emotional hygiene, you know, you're rested, your mind is kind of also not tired. Middle of the day, in the middle of the work is the hardest, I think, because switching from a work mode into a meditation is extremely difficult. Evening, easier, but also hard because you're tired, and then much more likeliness to fall asleep, especially if you're in bed. Do not meditate in bed unless you want to fall asleep. Yeah, morning definitely. I always recommend morning to people, always to begin with. So anyway, all right. Well, thank you guys. Thank you. Namaste. And questions, feedback, suggestions. I will be taking off. I will be taking some kind of a vacation here soon-ish. So just throwing it out there. I will probably still do Saturday class, but we'll see. Maybe I won't. We'll see. So other than that, I'll be back tomorrow at 1:15 with 50-50. Half flow, half yin. In the middle of the day, in the middle of the heat, and then Saturday at 9 a.m. Thank you guys so much. Peace out. That's all we got for you today. Goodbye.